Hi, I'm Tanmay Mukherjee from Nasscom. Join me every week on Expressions presented by Nasscom, wherein we bring thought leaders, subject matter experts to share their experiences on various aspects of technology. Hello and welcome everyone to Expressions presented by Nasscom, a show wherein we bring in thought leaders and subject matter experts from the industry to share their views and share their experiences. Over the next few episodes, we will try and capture the different aspects of the GCC evolution in India, the past, the present, and the future. India today is one of the key hubs for the innovation and capability centers, and I have today joining me someone who has seen this very closely over the last 3 decades, Mr. V. Lakshmikanth, Chairman at Broadridge India, or as he's fondly known as VLK. VLK, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, and my pleasure to be here with you all.
Let me first begin by asking you, in your experience, you have seen that entire journey of the GCC ecosystem. So how has it evolved to what it was when it started to probably what it is now?
I think unimaginable is one term which immediately comes to mind, right? I was part of the management team which set up potentially the first GCC in this state, and maybe one of the earliest ones in the country in 1987. Okay, and very interestingly, it was a very high-end kind of work, CAD CAM. The company's name was Integraph, and the way I kind of look at it is I see it's a circle coming back, right? In those days, we did a lot of high-end work, product development, okay, high technology, and then we morphed somewhere in the middle to services as an industry. And I see this circle coming back where we are now building large-scale platforms and supporting global platforms. So, in many ways, it kind of reinforced that the possibilities are there. There is talent, and end of the day, this IT industry is all about human capital. Okay, so I think India as a country has been able to demonstrate its capabilities in this space from a thought leadership perspective, and I think a lot of people talk of we are started with cost and moved to value and innovation, etc., etc. My belief is that all parts of the ecosystem needs to be there. There has to be a cost proposition, there has to be a value proposition, there has to be an innovation proposition. It's like you go to a meal, right? You don't just have dessert all the time, okay? Right, so you have to eat roti then, right? So similarly, I think as a country we need to focus all the 3 aspects of it, okay? And it is very straightforward. That is, there's a maturity of the relationship and also a maturity of understanding the business. Innovation comes when you start to understand the business, okay? At Broadridge, we very rightly say, if you're a technology person, you're 1x productive. If you're a technology person who knows this product, you're 5x productive. If you're a technology person who knows this product and the business, you're 10x productive. Okay, so I think this this 10x, when I talk of productivity, I think that's where this innovation and value quotient comes in. So companies which build human capital, who build people who understand the business and the domain, will be the survivors in the long. So incredible, right? 40 million to whatever, yes. 200 billion. Yes. And Nasscom has played a key role in this whole process. So, I mean, I never thought that this is what it would be, but very excited this what has happened, and very happy for everybody out here.
Fantastic. Now, probably my next question is for some of those leaders or organizations who are still thinking of setting up GCCs in India. Now, as a leader, how do you build that business case and showcase GCC as a strategic investment for the parent?
No, I mean, it's a very interesting question, and I honestly haven't thought about it that way, because the companies I worked for already thought about doing a GCC out here. Okay, so today, if I was a company, I would find it like it's like a why not kind of a proposition, a not why proposition. Okay, sometimes in life these things happen, right? When something is so compelling, it's a why not. Okay, it's never a why. And I think for some of the GCCs who have not done that from a leap of faith perspective, I think it's going to become more and more why not, because it's a competitive advantage at the end of the day, right? So like I said, today every company wants to be an IT company. Okay, A finance company wants to be a fintech company. Insurance company wants to be an insurtech company. Health company wants to be a health tech company.
Okay.
So if every company wants to be a tech company, then the talent is the differentiator. And today we call it digital or whatever it is, right? And today India is probably at the epicenter of talent. Okay. And if you have to be, different, and if you have to transform yourself, you have to be competitive. You have to go to where the talent is. Okay. And so that's why I would say it's a why not proposition. And the proposition is on all aspects. That is, there is a quality, okay, there is innovation, and there is a cost. It's a very compelling advantage. So if I was going to make a business case, I would make it along all the three angles and showcase it as how you're going to be able to transform that business.
Now, when you look at two models of delivery, there's an outsourcing model of delivery, or the services model of delivery, and the GCC model, obviously. Now, India obviously predominantly has both the models in that sense. One is, what do you think are the benefits of each of these models, and where do you draw lines? So that, okay, from an outsourcing model now I would want to go to a GCC model.
No, I think I think both models are evolving in many ways. If you really think of it, originally you could say the lines were drawn as, if I wanted scale, and if I wanted some work done very quickly, and I wanted hundreds of people, etc., I went to an outsourcing model. If I wanted my business understanding of the business, if I wanted some value, if I wanted protection of IP, etc., you kept it with the GCC. Okay, that is the way I think the lines were drawn, and I don't think there's any hard and fast. Each organization had its own ways of doing it. Okay, and by and large that still remains the way people are thinking about it. See, because at the end of the day, like I said, right, you have to understand the business to do value, right?
Correct.
And if you are a third party, your skin in the game to understand the business is not as great as your GCC. Okay, so I think GCC will still continue to have the edge with respect to understanding the business, getting closer to the voice of the client, while the scale factors will come from the third parties. The third parties have a very different advantage. The third parties, see across the spectrum.
Correct.
For example, they'll work with 10 BFSI clients, while if you're a GCC, you work with one BFSI client. So it's a mix of both. I don't think there's any perfect answer to it. Depends on what's the problem you're trying to solve.
Right.
But I think both models are here to stay. Okay,
yeah.
And I think they will coexist.
Now, you spoke about talent and innovation and other enablers, right? From a India perspective, and talent is a given. Obviously, when a lot of GCCs came in, and still they do come in, cost is a given piece. But what do you think, what could be some of those other enablers, and probably take a little deep dive on why those are the enablers?
No, I think, see, I'll just tell you a very good example, okay. There's a certain business that we support at Broadridge, okay.
Correct.
It's one of the market leading businesses we have.
Yeah.
And a substantial portion of that business is, technology work gets done from here, okay. When I say technology, it is application development, maintenance, support, product, PA, everything, right? And it struck me, this is probably about 12 years back or something like that, and the president of the business unit and I were having a conversation, and he told me, if you don't innovate for me, who is going to do it? Okay, you're bulk of my organization, okay, so you have to do it, so there is no getting away from it, right? So in a way, there is a price to be paid for success.
Correct.
Okay, the price to be paid is you will have the seat at the table, and if you have the seat at the table, you need to actually add value. Okay, you just can't have that toddler seat at the table. Okay, so in that sense, to answer your question, organization needs to focus on that part of it, which is we need to move from saying that you give me the work, I will do. Okay, to be able to have a conversation as to how we're going to be able to transform the work. Okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of people talk today about looking at different metrics, right? End client experience, okay, is a very good metric. End of the day, the end client matters, right?
Yes.
So how is this GCC transforming that experience?
Correct.
Okay, it's usually indirect. It's not, you can't measure it directly,
yeah,
but usually has an impact. Okay,
yeah.
And if I can spend a minute on it, let me explain why it's important. Okay, today a lot of the companies are moving to what we call platform-based businesses, right? And everybody talks of recurring revenue. Okay, for information, probably ADP and Broadridge are one of the first companies to have recurring revenue as a model for many years. Okay, recurring revenue is very important because, you know, once you have recurring revenue, which means next year you're starting off, you know, very well. You don't really have to restart your.
Yes.
So let's say you are a license-based model. If you did 1 million this year, next year you have to do 1 million again. If you're recurring, you know, 1 million is already in the bank, right? So you have to do incremental.
Correct.
So as you start to scale, the recurring revenue is extremely important. Just imagine that you are like a $10 billion business, okay, and you have to build $1 billion every year. It's a huge, you're almost building $1 billion company every year, right? So it's a very different way of thinking of recurring. And what's the most important metric in recurring revenue? Client retention.
True.
Okay, anytime you lose a client, you have to generate a new sale.
Correct.
Okay, and that's why client retention and client stat becomes very, very important as a key metric.
Right. Now coming back to probably again the evolution of the GCC's piece. You have seen the evolution from, say, back office delivery centers to, say, now capability centers, and I know you were one of the first GCCs to also set up a COE and innovate and start the innovation piece. As a leader, what could be some of the key milestones that you keep for yourself as an organization? Say, okay, I do this and then go to the next and then probably proceed from there on. So what would be the key milestones?
So I would, you know, probably, you know, I wouldn't say disagree, but I won't have a different point of view here. This is why I said, you know, when the GCCs, when I part of the first GCCs in '87, we were doing high-end product development.
Correct.
It was not really back office application development.
Yeah.
So '96 also we were doing high-end. I'll tell you, in my opinion, the industry changed in the late '90s. Okay, with the Y2K and the .com boom, industry moved to a scale model, which is, see, I mean, I don't blame anybody, because the fact is there's so much business coming in, you have to scale.
Yeah.
Okay, usually when you try to scale too quickly, then, you know, the value prop becomes very different. Okay, so it's your ability to ramp up quickly, it's ability to train quickly, it's ability to deliver quickly, and in that process, what typically happens is in the value chain, you start lower in the value chain than on the higher. Okay, what I mean by that is, if I have to see, you can get one expert. Okay, if you have to build 100 experts, it takes time.
Correct.
Okay, now you can't build 100 experts in a year. So what do? You start to do the lower end of the work, or break that work down into smaller chunks, which are done by.
Yes.
And the industry moved to that, and that's what, you know, we call it back office, etc.
Correct.
So back office is a victim of success and of scale. Okay, and I don't see it's a victim of how you evolve. Okay.
Right.
So depending on, you know, what value prop as a company you're bringing to the table. Okay, so let's say today you can bring in some 10 good guys, you can start your work there.
Right, correct.
If you're going to bring in, you know, 100 entry level people, you have to start here.
Correct.
Okay, so the way I would look at it is, there has to be a mix. You cannot have only this and only this. Okay, you can't have only superstars, you can't have everybody as entry level people. So the mix will be there. And as a company, you need to pitch for everything.
Correct.
Okay, for two reasons. One is this gives you stability and scale, and this gives you value.
Yeah.
So my advice would be, actually pitch for everything, and, you know, slowly move to having more and more, you know, people who can add value to you. See, end of the day, software, like I told you, right? It's a human capital, and it's all in the brain, right?
Yes.
So the stronger this part is, the more value is going to come out of it.
Absolutely.
So, in an ideal situation today, for example, you know, we break the process down, right? We have somebody gathering requirements from the client, and he translates it, and then developer does it, blah, blah, blah. In an ideal situation, you know, if the guy who talks to the client doesn't need to translate and deliver code, you can see the savings, right? That's the 10x guy.
Yeah.
Okay, the more you have, the bigger your competitive advantage is. Okay, so I would focus on, if I was somebody, I would focus on pretty much all aspects of it. The reason is, today there's talent available. Okay, I'll give you an example. When we were part of DE Shaw in '96, we were the first financial services company in town, and potentially, you know, in India. Okay, so if I had to look for global financial services talent, there was nobody. You had to build it. Okay. Yeah. Now, today there are hundreds of companies. Okay, you can look to get talent. Okay. So today, if I was somebody, I would go for all of it.
Right. Okay. Now, coming to the customer side of it slightly, and all the businesses at the end of the day have to serve a customer. And probably over these last 2.5 years, the customer experiences and expectations have changed, right, because of the pandemic and external disruptors. How do you think GCCs in India are contributing to those evolving, changing customer experiences?
I mean, it's honestly, in my opinion, customer experience, customer needs have never changed. What I mean by, on a lighter note,
Yes.
okay, every customer wants it free, perfect, and now. Okay, there's no customer. Now, you yourself, like today, like you want to eat pizza, you want it now. Okay, you want it perfect and ideally free. Okay, right? So, customer need in that sense fundamentally has not changed. The free, perfect now will always be there. And how much of it you can get free, how much of it perfect, how much is always a balance. Okay, what has changed today, more importantly, is the now factor. Okay, free and perfect, we always wanted it. Okay, but earlier we were willing to wait a little longer.
Right.
Okay, today the now is really now.
Yeah.
Okay, today somebody talks of 10-minute delivery and somebody will come back and say 5-minute delivery. Instant. Okay, instant mart, instant mart. All that is going to happen. So the now part has changed. Okay, so which essentially means that what you mean by digital transformation is your organization needs to be on 24/7. That's what it means. Okay,
right.
So in the good old days of I open the office at 9 and close at 5 is over. Okay, which means you have to design your systems and processes for 24/7. Okay, which means that today you are available 24/7.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you cannot say because if you want to actually talk to the customer, you have to talk in his language, in his time zone, in a way. Absolutely. Right? When I say language, it's not about the English part.
Correct.
Talk about his business. So if he calls you, you have to be available.
Yes.
Okay, and that to me is the biggest expectation. I don't think the business has changed. So for example, you're ordering food. Yeah, whether you're there, here, doesn't really matter.
Correct.
Okay. But earlier you could tell him I'll deliver in 2 weeks time. Today you have to say, and then the 2 weeks time allows you to recover. Okay, if something goes wrong. Today that recoverability time is not there. Okay, so today organization needs to measure themselves on availability. Okay, and recovery. Okay, systems need to be designed for that. So I don't think the business has changed, but the way you respond now has changed. So.
Okay. Probably before we let you go, a last question, because you've seen this industry from a very close lens for so long. One key message probably that you would want to leave with the leaders who are still exploring at India as an option for setting up a GCC?
No, I think you guys have missed the bus. That's what I would say. The bus has kind of left the building. So you please, get onto the bus as fast as you can. I mean, that's probably lighter. The way I would the message for leaders or companies which have not really leveraged this is, I think there are 2-3 parts to this. Okay, one is it is a competitive advantage. Okay, don't view it as a cost arbitrage. It's going to be a long-term sustained competitive advantage. Okay, and human capital is going to determine the future of the world. Okay, and so if you have to leverage it, we have to leverage it, and this is the place. Yes, there could be regulatory issues. There could be, IP. I mean, there may be some compelling reasons for not wanting to do it. I understand that, but if you don't have that, use this as view this from a competitive advantage perspective. One. Second thing is the ecosystem here has matured.
Yeah.
Okay, it has been around whatever 30-40 years. It has matured. It has seen cycles.
Yeah.
Okay, so which is good because you don't want to go to a country which is fairly mature. From an ecosystem one. The third thing is the industry is very well knit. Okay, while there is competition, there is also cooperation. Okay, and that's I think one of the unique propositions of India, which is people in the industry want to work together to make the industry successful and the country successful. Okay, while they may be competing for talent, etc., but at the bottom there is also a good feeling of collaboration. Okay. And also more importantly, we have organizations like Nasscom, okay, which helps you navigate all of this. Okay, India is a large country. There is a lot of complexity, but the way I think Nasscom has really shaped up, especially in the last 10, 15, 20 years, and either shaping policy or helping companies, okay, has been amazing. Very simple example is when COVID hit, right? The way I think Nasscom worked with the central government, with the state government, with the last beat cop to make things happen is amazing. Okay, and so when you have such an ecosystem, I think it's your opportunity to lose if you don't leverage it. So I would say you can check all the boxes: availability of talent, scale of talent, competitive advantage, a friendly government, great industry bodies, and of course the entire value prop comes when you put all of that together.
Right, sure. Thank you VLK for joining us. It
Thanks,
was a pleasure.
My pleasure having you, talking to you guys, and incredible job, and wish you all the best.
Thank you. For more such information, join us in our channel, follow us on our channel, and supporting us in this initiative is My Startup TV. Thank you again. See you later.